The tow truck driver looked at me, then at the clipboard, then back at me. His face went the color of old newspaper. "Mr. Castellano," he said slowly, "this is your F-250. "Sure is." That Mrs. Harding called in. I figured. She said it was abandoned on HOA property. Said to impound it, and she'd authorize the fees. He swallowed hard. "Boss, I didn't know." I held up my hand. "Marcus, you did your job. Now take it to the lot. We're going to let this play out exactly the way she wants." Behind us, a woman in a black Audi Q7 pulled up to the clubhouse, her heels clicking on the pavement like a countdown timer. Brielle Harding, HOA president, property manager, and as of 40 minutes ago, the person who just towed a truck from a road she doesn't own. Let me tell you how we got here. My name is Vincent Castellano. I'm 58 years old, and I've lived in Ridgemont, New Mexico for 37 years. I started Castellano Towing and Recovery in 1991 with a used flatbed and a pager. Today I run the only impound lot in a 60-mile radius. I hold contracts with 3 counties and the state police, and I own 4 tow trucks, 2 flatbeds, and a rotator for the serious work. I've pulled vehicles out of arroyos, off cliffs, and out of flooding washes. Ask any sheriff's deputy whose number they call first. Drop a comment below and tell me where you're watching from. Ever had an HOA that thought they owned more than they actually did? Ridgemont Heights was developed in 2016 on land that used to be part of the old Garrett Ranch, my uncle's place. When Uncle Gene passed without kids, the property went to auction. A developer out of Albuquerque bought 340 acres and built 72 houses, pretty adobe-style homes with mountain views, starting at $425,000. Good middle-class families, retirees, some folks who work remotely. The development had one problem: access. The main county road stopped half a mile short. To reach Ridgemont Heights, you had to use what everyone called the Ranch Road, a private gravel and caliche drive that Gene built in 1967 to move cattle and equipment. When the developer bought the ranch road wasn't included in the sale. It was separate title, deeded specifically to the Castellano family in 1952 when my grandfather bought the land, which meant I inherited it. The developer approached me in 2015, wanted to buy the road outright. I said no. It connected to my towing yard, my personal property, and a maintenance shed I'd used for 20 years. Plus, I liked having the access. We worked out an easement instead. I'd grant permanent access to Ridgemont Heights residents and their guests. In exchange, the HOA would maintain the road surface, grading, gravel, drainage, and I'd keep legal ownership. I had my attorney draw it up airtight. The agreement was recorded with the county, attached to every property deed in the development. For 8 years, it worked fine. The HOA maintained the road. I kept my equipment off to the side, never blocked anything, plowed the road myself during the monsoon washouts because it was easier than waiting for them to hire someone. I knew most of the residents. Carol Mendez always waved when she drove past. Tim Osborne and I talked football during his evening walks. When the Johnsons' teenager slid into the ditch during a rainstorm, I pulled him out for free and didn't tell his parents about the beer cans in the back seat. Then the HOA board turned over last November. Brielle Harding moved in from Santa Fe with her husband, some tech consultant who was never home. She was 43, drove that black Audi like she was being chased, wore sunglasses that cost more than my monthly truck payment. Within 2 months, she'd gotten herself elected HOA president with promises to enhance property values and eliminate substandard aesthetics. First thing she did was hire a new management company. Second thing was repaint the clubhouse. Third thing was send me a letter. Dear property owner, the Ridgemont Heights HOA board has identified your commercial vehicles and equipment storage along Ranch Road as a violation of community standards. Please remove all non-residential vehicles within 30 days or face towing and disposal at owner's expense. I read it twice, sitting in my kitchen with my morning coffee that had gone cold. The letter was signed with her sharp, aggressive signature. I called the number listed. Got voicemail. Left a message explaining that Ranch Road was private property, my private property, and the easement agreement didn't give the HOA authority over what I parked there. No callback. I showed up at the next board meeting. The clubhouse smelled like new carpet and budget air freshener. Brielle sat at the head table in a cream blazer, her tablet glowing in front of her. "Mrs. Harding, I got your letter." She looked up like I was a distraction. Mr. Castellano, your compliance deadline is 3 weeks away. The road is my property. The easement doesn't restrict my use. The easement grants access. It doesn't grant you the right to operate a commercial eyesore that depresses our home values. I've been parking my equipment there for 25 years. She smiled, thin and cold. Then I guess it's time for an upgrade. This is a residential community, Mr. Castellano. We have standards. 2 weeks later, my work truck, the white 2018 Ford F-250 with Castellano towing on the door, disappeared from where I'd parked it near the maintenance shed. Marcus called me at 10:15 a.m., confused and apologetic. Brielle had called it in as abandoned, authorized a tow under the HOA's nuisance vehicle removal policy, and told him to impound it at my own lot. My own lot. The irony was so thick you could choke on it. I drove to the impound yard in my personal truck, a 1998 Chevy Silverado that had seen better decades. Marcus met me at the gate, shifting his weight like a kid caught stealing candy. Boss, she said it was abandoned. She had paperwork. Let me see it. He handed me the work order. HOA letterhead, Brielle's signature, authorization code, the whole official performance. Under a reason for tow, she'd written, abandoned commercial vehicle on HOA property, creating visual blight and safety hazard. I almost laughed. Marcus, you did exactly right. Log it properly, list the fees, send the standard impound notice. You want me to charge you impound fees? I want you to do everything by the book. Storage, towing, administrative. The whole menu. He blinked. Boss, trust me. The impound notice went out certified mail that afternoon. Your vehicle has been towed and impounded. Daily storage fees apply. Total due, $340, increasing $75 per day. I didn't pay it. 3 days later, Brielle called my business line. I let it go to voicemail. Mr. Castellano, this is Brielle Harding. Your truck has been impounded per HOA enforcement action. You need to settle your fees and remove your vehicle from HOA-authorized storage immediately, or we'll pursue additional penalties. I saved the message. Day 7. The fees hit $865. I got a furious email from Brielle's HOA management company, threatening legal action for refusal to comply with lawful towing. I forwarded it to my attorney with a smiley face emoji. Rachel Montoya had been handling my business contracts for 15 years. She called me back in under an hour, laughing so hard she could barely talk. Vince, she towed your truck from your own property and impounded it at your own lot. That's correct. And she thinks she has legal standing. Appears that way. Can I be there when you explain this to her? Front row seat. I let it run to day 12. Fees were now $1,215. That's when Brielle made her next move. She filed a complaint with the county code enforcement, claiming I was operating a commercial salvage yard in a residentially zoned area without proper permits, creating hazardous conditions, and violating HOA covenants. The county inspector, Linda Ochoa, came out on a Thursday morning. I'd known Linda for a decade. She was thorough, fair, and didn't suffer fools. She walked the property line, checked my permits, all current, reviewed the easement agreement, recorded and legal, and measured distances. Then she asked to see the HOA complaint. I showed her everything. The initial letter, the tow authorization, the impound notices, the emails. Linda's expression went from professional neutral to barely suppressed amusement. Mr. Castellano, the road she claims is HOA property is legally titled to you personally. Yes, ma'am. And she authorized the tow company you own to impound your vehicle at a lot you own. That's accurate. And she filed a code complaint alleging you're violating HOA rules on property she doesn't control. Seems to be her position. Linda closed her folder. I'm dismissing this complaint with a notation that the complainant lacks standing. I'm also going to recommend she review property records before filing frivolous claims. You have a nice day, Vince. But Brielle wasn't done. Day 15. She sent a formal demand letter from an attorney in Santa Fe. Big firm, expensive letterhead. Lots of words that boiled down to pay the impound fees, remove all vehicles from HOA-adjacent property, and cease commercial operations that violate community covenants or face litigation for breach of easement terms and nuisance. Rachel read it over coffee in my office, the space heater humming in the corner. Outside, a tow call came in over the radio, truck versus elk on Highway 60. She's citing the easement agreement, Rachel said. but she's interpreting it exactly backward. The easement grants them access. It doesn't grant them control. Can she sue? She can try. She'll lose immediately, but she can file. What if I want to end this? Rachel looked up, eyes sharp. End it how? Legally. Permanently. In a way that makes the point. She smiled slowly. I can draft a cease and desist. We can also file for declaratory judgment confirming your property rights, and add a claim for abuse of process given to frivolous code complaint and wrongful tow authorization. That'll cost her attorney fees when we win. Do it. The paperwork hit Brielle's attorney 4 days later. Rachel was surgical. She cited the recorded easement, the property title, the county dismissal, and the fact that Brielle had authorized a tow from private property she didn't own, then threatened the property owner with fees for recovering his own vehicle from his own impound lot. The attorney withdrew within 24 hours. No explanation, just a terse notice that they no longer represented Mrs. Harding in this matter. That's when Brielle showed up at my impound lot herself. It was a Tuesday afternoon, temperature pushing 93 degrees, the kind of dry heat that makes metal too hot to touch. I was in the office doing paperwork when I saw the black Audi pull up to the gate. Brielle got out wearing designer jeans and a white blouse, her sunglasses reflecting the chain-link fence. She walked up to the window like she was returning a defective appliance. I'm here about the truck, she said. I leaned back in my chair. Which truck? Your F-250, the one you refused to remove from impound. That vehicle was towed under your authorization. Fees are now $1,590. You want to pay them? Her mouth tightened. I authorized the tow because it was abandoned on HOA property. Ranch Road is an HOA property. The easement grants your residents access. It doesn't transfer ownership. I own that road, Mrs. Harding. Personally. Clear title, recorded with the county in 1952. She stared at me. For the first time, I saw uncertainty flicker behind the anger. That's not possible. I pulled out the title document, the easement agreement, and the county plat map. Laid them on the counter between us like cards in a poker hand. This is the recorded title. This is the easement your developer signed. This is the plat map showing property lines. You towed my vehicle from my property, using my tow company, to my impound lot. Then you threatened me with fees. Brielle's face went white, then red. The developer told us. The developer didn't own the road. Never did. You want to verify that? Call the county clerk. But while you're at it, you should know I filed for declaratory judgment and abuse of process. Your attorney already withdrew. This is ridiculous. No, ma'am. What's ridiculous is you spending 3 weeks trying to bully someone off property you don't own without checking public records first. What's ridiculous is filing a false code complaint. What's really ridiculous is authorizing a tow and then threatening the vehicle owner with impound fees at his own business. She grabbed the documents, her hands shaking. I'll take this to the board. You do that. And while you're there, explain how much this is going to cost them in legal fees when my attorney adds the HOA as a co-defendant for endorsing your actions. She left without another word. The Audi sprayed gravel pulling out. The emergency HOA meeting happened 4 days later. I didn't attend, but Tim Osborne called me afterward. Vince, it was brutal. Half the board didn't know about any of this. When they found out Brielle towed your truck from your own property and threatened to sue you over a road you legally own, 3 people resigned on the spot. She tried to blame the management company, but someone had copies of her emails. She kept saying you were interfering with property values. She get voted out? Unanimous. She and her husband are putting the house up for sale. 2 weeks later, the new board president, Carol Mendez, the woman who always waved, called and asked if we could meet. We sat in the clubhouse on a Saturday morning. Someone had made decent coffee for once. Carol slid a folder across the table. Vince, we want to apologize. Brielle acted without board knowledge or approval. The tow was unauthorized, the complaint was false, and the legal threats were out of line. Appreciate it. We also want to make sure the easement relationship stays solid. We've reviewed the agreement. We understand you own the road, and we're grateful for the access. Is there anything we can do to maintain good terms? I thought about it. Road needs regrading. Drainage on the south end is washing out. We'll handle it this month. We shook hands. I picked up my F-250 that afternoon, paid myself the impound fees for the paperwork trail, then wrote it off as a business loss. The truck fired up smooth, AC still cold. exactly where Marcus had parked it 15 days earlier. Brielle and her husband moved in September. Sold the house fast, took a loss. I heard through Carol that they went back to Santa Fe, something about Brielle needing to focus on personal priorities. The new family that bought the place has 2 kids and a golden retriever. They wave when they drive past my equipment. Last winter, when their Subaru wouldn't start in the cold, I jumped it for free and the husband tried to pay me $50. I wouldn't take it. That's the thing about property rights and small communities. You can't bully your way into owning something that's not yours. You can't intimidate people who know the law and have the receipts. And you definitely can't tow someone's truck from their own land to their own impound lot and expect to come out ahead. I'm Vincent Castellano. I'm 58 years old. I've been running Castellano Towing for 33 years, and I've owned Ranch Road for 19. And every time I drive past that road sign, private drive, Castellano property, easement access only, I smile. Because some lessons cost $1,590 in impound fees and a whole lot of public humiliation. But they're the kind that stick.